He hated these gatherings. A sea of unfamiliar faces with plastic smiles. The air buzzed with forced pleasantries and the clinking of champagne glasses. He stood alone, a silent observer. He much preferred the solace of his own company, the quiet hum of his thoughts a familiar comfort. "Don't tell me you're shunning the party favors already, Mr. Stone." A husky voice sliced through his contemplation. A woman all scarlet silk and predatory grace leaned into his space. Her perfume, a cloying floral, invaded his senses. He took a step back, his gaze unwavering. "I find little pleasure in the superficial," he replied, his voice devoid of inflection. He wasn't being rude, merely stating a fact. Intimacy, he'd learned, wasn't found in crowded rooms or fleeting touches. It lived in the quiet moments, the shared vulnerabilities. Those were the connections he craved, though he'd long given up hope of finding such a rarity. She laughed, a throaty sound that sent a shiver down his spine, but not in a good way. He wasn't wired for casual encounters. The thrill for him lay in the chase of hearts, not bodies. He thrived on the slow burn, the gradual peeling back of layers to reveal the soul beneath. "You're impossible," a warm voice chuckled from behind him. He didn't need to turn to know it was Liam, his oldest friend, his brother in all but blood. Liam, who embraced life with an enthusiasm that he envied. "Come on, let's grab a drink." He followed Liam through the throng, their easy banter a stark contrast to the strained conversation surrounding them. They settled into a quiet corner, away from the prying eyes and the incessant chatter. "I need a favor," Liam said, his usual carefree demeanor replaced with a hesitant frown. He raised an eyebrow, already sensing a complication. Liam wasn't one to ask for help lightly. "What kind of favor?" "It's Emily," Liam began, his gaze dropping to his glass. Emily, his younger sister, a sweet, naive girl still navigating the complexities of the world. He'd met her only a handful of times, but her kindness had left an imprint on his cynical heart. "She's coming to stay for a few weeks," Liam continued, his voice laced with concern. "I have that conference in Tokyo, and I don't want her to be alone in that flat." He already knew what Liam was about to ask. He could practically hear the unspoken plea in his friend's voice. He sighed inwardly. He wasn't particularly fond of altering his routine. Having Emily stay would undoubtedly disrupt the carefully constructed order of his life. Yet, how could he refuse? Liam had been his rock through dark times, his unwavering loyalty a beacon in the storm. It was a debt he could never fully repay. "I'll look after her," he said, his tone firm despite the resignation he felt. Liam's face broke into a relieved grin. "I knew I could count on you. Just promise me you won't scare her off with your brooding silences." He managed a wry smile. "I'll try to be a charming host." The thought of playing chaperone to Liam's sister was daunting, to say the least. He couldn't fathom what they'd talk about, what common ground they could possibly find. Yet, a flicker of curiosity sparked within him. Perhaps this unexpected intrusion into his life wouldn't be so unwelcome after all. He spent the next few days preparing for Emily's arrival. He cleaned his meticulously organized apartment, stocking the fridge with food he barely recognized. He felt a strange mix of apprehension and anticipation. Emily represented a foray into a world he'd long shut himself off from, a world of innocence and hope, emotions he'd deemed weaknesses years ago. The past had a way of hardening a man, of building walls so high they seemed insurmountable. He'd learned to keep his heart locked away, safe from the pain of betrayal and loss. But Emily, with her wide-eyed optimism and infectious laughter, threatened to chip away at those defenses. He found himself drawn to her warmth, her genuine kindness, a balm to his jaded soul. As he waited for her at the airport, a familiar tightness constricted his chest. He wasn't sure what terrified him more, the possibility of Emily breaking through his carefully constructed walls or the possibility of hurting her with the darkness he kept hidden within.